Today, I'm going to try to make macrame out of t-shirt yarn. Some assembly required. It is science fair season around here, and so I've come up with an experiment of my own. I am pretty sure that you can use t-shirt yarn to make macrame, but the question that I have is, should you? It might be really ugly, but it might be cool. So I thought it is time to figure it out. So let's try it. So here's the plan. I have really way too many super old t-shirts that nobody wants. They're grimy and a little bit disgusting at this point, but that's okay. My plan is to see if I can turn them into skinny t-shirt yarn and then use that yarn, string, whatever you want to call it, to make macrame. And I found this lying around. It wasn't doing anything. So I said,
you can join my project.
So first I'm going to make the yarn. Then I'm going to figure out how to hang it. So let me tell you basically how to make t-shirt yarn. And then I will show you on the fast camera because
it takes a long time.
I'll tell you and then I'll show you. First, you cut off anything that's sewn on the bottom, so this bottom seam, and then you cut skinny little strips all the way across except for about an inch at the end. So you leave an inch, cut a bunch of strips until you get to the sleeves, because you can't do it up there. And then at the ends, you'll cut little diagonal lines so that you end up with a spiral instead of a bunch of loops. If you are making something that you don't need very long strips, you can just cut them straight across and make loops. But I would like long pieces, so I will cut almost all the way up to the end, make the diagonal cuts, and I will end up with a long, long, long piece from each t-shirt. So I found 8 t-shirts that are about the same size, so I will end up, when I double them and attach them to my stick, I'll end up with 16 pieces. And I don't know how long they'll be. I will let you know when I make them. So that's what I'll do first. I will slice this up and all those. It's gonna take me a minute, but I'm gonna see if I can make it as skinny as I can so that it's more like actual macrame cord instead of big, fat, chunky yarn. It'll also be longer this way, so that will be ideal. Let's see what I can do, and I will be back. All right, so I have cut my t-shirts. I used 4 t-shirts. I was going to use 8, but then each t-shirt gave me so much, I want to call it cord, even though it's not. It's sort of yarnish, kind of, sort of, a little bit. But the stuff that I'm going to use, it was like 36 yards per t-shirt. So I've used 4 t-shirts and I cut the cords in half, and that's going to be way more than enough. So I'm gonna probably make more knots than I had planned to because I just have so much of this, and I will just see how it goes. I don't know.
It could be amazing.
I could be stumbling upon the next great thing in macrame. I don't know. Maybe you've seen this done before. I never have, but it seems exciting. So I am going to attach this extra piece here. I have a loop from another t-shirt. I'm going to attach that to my stick to hang it. And then my plan is, and I don't know how to do it, because that's sort of what I do, but to have something hang on the wall, like against the wall, but also hold this guy. And I think it's possible. I don't know how. So you can learn from my mistakes or my absolutely perfect way that I do it somehow. Probably the mistakes though. So let me get started, and I will attach this to my stick. I will attach 8 of these, so 16 strings altogether, and then we'll see what it looks like. I'll be right back. So the first thing that I've discovered, or one of the first things, is that if you basically look at this, it gets tangled into a miserable knot. And,
That's not that much fun.
so it's taking a really long time to set this up. That's okay, because frustration is something to be overcome. Or something. This is really good that I don't have cats, because that would probably be the only thing that could ever make this worse. Okay, I keep going. So sure that I'm almost at the end of my rope. Yeah, so some of these are definitely longer than the others. I feel like that's going to be a problem later, but it's not a problem yet. So I'm going to get started. The heck with doing it right. Yeah. So my plan, and I don't really know how to do this, is to make sort of a chevron pattern at the top because I've never done it and it seems interesting. So I'll start from the outside and kind of go down and down and down and down until it gets to a point. And then I don't know if I can do it again. I don't know how to do it properly. So I'm going to try it this way and see what it looks like. Hopefully the next time that I talk to you, there will be some sort of chevron pattern happening, or I'll be able to tell you how to definitely not make a chevron pattern. I think it'll work. It should work. I don't know. Let's figure it out. So I may be discovering why people do not use this to make macrame. It's
not beautiful.
At all, but I am not giving up. I'm going to see what it looks like at the end. If all else fails, I mean, I could probably add some paint or sparkles, or really something. Something has gotta make it better than it is right now, because it's not traditionally beautiful or pretty or really anything that's not like ugly, because it's ugly. So, okay, I mean, I was able to make kind of a chevron shape. The knots are not pretty, which I think is because of the t-shirt yarn cord. It does not hold a beautiful knot. But the next thing I'm going to do is I'm separating into sections of 4, and I'm going to make, I think, square knots. I think I'll just make some square knots down, and then I'll figure out how they're going to hold the container. Should probably make them the same length. 2 should be the same length, and then the other 2 should be the same length, because they'll be kind of more forward. Yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna see. So, maybe not the most beautiful thing that I've ever seen, but it's kind of interesting. In the spirit of experimentation, I took these outside cords and I decided instead of doing square knots, I would do half knots so that they would spiral, and I made them go the opposite way of each other. So one spirals in this way, one spirals in this way, just to see if I could, because what do I have to lose? Not anything. So the next thing that I'm going to attempt is to tie these together in kind of a net pattern, so that this guy can sit inside. I'm gonna start with the back, and maybe do the front, and then the sides, because otherwise I have no idea where to put them. So it kind of makes sense to me if I do it that way. So let's see if it works, and that will be exciting if it does. I do think that this is probably going to need some sort of color, because it's a really weird, like, gray tan, bad old shirt color. So
that's not pretty.
We might need to fix that. But for now, let's just do the mechanics. Square knots, and then we'll see how that goes. So it seems to be working, which is surprising a little bit. Now I just need to gather them all around the bottom, tie a knot, and I should be finished. Let's give it a try. So it works. Is it pretty?
No, it is not.
It's not the worst thing I've ever seen. It's fine. I'm going to see if I can improve it with a little bit of watercolor, just to make it less tan. I will see what that looks like, and then we'll look at the finished product, because I'm pretty sure after that it'll be finished, and hopefully it's not a complete waste of time. But at least now you know.
Now we know.
All right. So I think this is definitely better. You can't see it very well, and I will show you what it looks like in a minute when it dries. It's probably not something that I would do again, but it was an interesting experiment. I think that the major problem was the color. At least half of the problem was the color. The other problem was that it's so stretchy that the knots got all distorted, but, you know, it did end up, you know, looking a little bit like macrame, but I'll show you what it looks like in a photograph or maybe like hanging on a wall. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you give it a thumbs up. If you like the project, give it a thumbs up. If you feel like I do about the project, you certainly may let me know. If there's something else that you can think I should try with all the extra t-shirt yarn that I have left over, you let me know. I have some ideas about what I can do with the scraps when you make t-shirt yarn. They're not great ideas, so if you have anything you want me to try, you let me know in the comments. Make sure that if you enjoyed this kind of content, you subscribe down below. Click the notification button so that you don't miss when I upload a video. They are on Tuesdays and Saturdays, so I hope that you enjoyed this, because at least it was fun to figure out if it worked or not. For the most part. It was a little frustrating trying to unwind all those knots. I'll probably dream about that tonight. There were a lot of knots. But until next time, I will see you later. Thanks for watching. Bye!